join the senator from Minnesota. Are you on board?
I am on board. So thank you very much, Chair Durbin. And I want to first ask, as you know, Mr. Chair, one of my jobs is the chair of the subcommittee on antitrust. I do a lot in that area. And so I thought I would take a little different approach and ask you about this, Mr. Cantor. Today, a number of our witnesses have testified about a lack of competition in credit and debit card markets, resulting in higher interchange fees that can harm consumers, merchants. Do you think that stronger antitrust enforcement could lead to more competitive credit and debit card markets?
Thank you, Senator. I do think more and better antitrust enforcement would be welcome here. It's needed. This is an area where the Antitrust Division of the Department of Justice has been active over time, as has the Federal Trade Commission, but there's a lot more to be done. These litigations go on for a very long time, involve lots of economists, and so there are, as we pointed out, big pieces of the puzzle that are still unresolved, how the fees get set and the rules and restraints that go around protecting those fees from market forces. So absolutely some more enforcement would be welcome.
Very, very good. In your opinion, and you know, you've got an active antitrust divisions, you've got interest in going after cases, but in your opinion, what's the impact of Supreme Court decisions like Ohio v. American Express on competition in credit markets?
So we disagree with the opinion in American Express versus Ohio. We think it will cause problems, not just in this area, but frankly, dealing with other technology platforms, which have been a focus, I know, Senator, of your subcommittee and others in the Congress, and that could be problematic. What's important to note, though, is that even under the standard articulated in American Express versus Ohio, this credit card market is an antitrust problem, and there is plenty of consumer harm in the record of cases that are going on right now to show that, in fact, it's an antitrust problem. That said, as I mentioned earlier, there's an important role for Congress to play here to decide how competition should work going forward so that we have some. These antitrust cases, while very, very important, you know, courts really have a different role in this, and so we want to pay attention to the Congress's role here as well.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, and this is off this topic, but if you have monopolies, which we have in the tech area, Google has 90% market share. There's just no doubt we have monopolies. That you have to, at the same time, and maybe this is what you're getting at in a very different context, you have to ensure there's rules of the road in place by industry, so that if there's not going to be a change through the courts, in my case with tech, which will take years, you at least have to be able to make sure that they're not preferencing their own products and creating an anti-competitive marketplace. That's what this is about. I have Mr. Kim, I have a question of you.
Sure.
Okay. You've testified that payment systems require constant investment and protection, and that interchange fees cover much of that cost. We can all agree that card transactions have to be safe. There's cybersecurity issues, threats, those things. Can you elaborate on the types of costs that interchange fees help cover from the perspective of mid-size and community card issuers?
Sure. So we have to have 7x24 customer service available to our customers wherever they're transacting, whatever time zone. So when there are problems with transactions, if we're going on networks around the world that are not as reliable, it's important for us to be able to choose our networks, because all networks are not created equally. So sometimes we have to resolve problems there. We are constantly looking at data to try to assess fraud. We had a substantial fraud attempt with bots trying to open up accounts, open up credit card accounts, and then in turn extract money from the consumers and then ultimately us. So it's that kind of investment in data, investment in information, so that we can collect cell phone numbers and tell people, hey, this transaction went through on your card. Was it really you? And can we do that instantaneously? So those are just some examples of how we invest to make the transaction and payment business work.
Okay, very good. The question kind of along the same line, can you talk about how you see midsize and community card issuers fitting into the payment landscape now and into the future? That's my last question.
Sure. So that's a challenging thing. We spend a lot of time looking at all the financial technology firms that are getting into the business and taking away parts of it from the traditional banking industry, and how can we partner with them effectively and or compete against them. And so certainly, as many have said, across maybe apples and oranges, but I think it's all payments, so maybe they're all apples. Lots of competition going on there. And it's hard for us, but we have to be nimble. We have to partner with smart organizations that can help us with networks. My ability to process transactions internationally at all times of the day depend on the networks and depend on the investment in the networks. And that's going to be, we have to have good partners and they have to be able to help us. That's how we'll continue to exist in the payments ecosystem.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator Durbin.
Thanks, Senator Klobuchar. I'll just have a few questions. Mr. Kim, first, let me say that we did a little research when you were added to the panel about Commerce Bank. I'm familiar with it, of course, living in the region. And I want to thank you for continuing to offer free checking even through the onslaught